Welcome back to the Pop of the Man podcast. I'm your host, Jay. With me today, I have my always loyal co-host, Delon. What's up, Delon?
How are you doing, Brother Jordan?
I'm doing great, fam. And you know what we do. We give you our takes on basketball, music, and everything in between. Today is a special episode. It is an artist spotlight. I think this is the first artist spotlight we've done this year. And basically what we do is we take an artist that we found and we thought was real dope, and we wanted to share his music and his experience with you, the listener. Joining us today, we have Shah Leezy, who was the winner of our Demand Madness tourney back in March. And if you don't know what Demand Madness is, that's a tourney where we get 16 different artists to compete against each other on Twitter. And we have you, the fans, vote and tell us who you think made the best music. So with that being said, today we have Shah. Shah, how you doing, fam?
What's going on, man? Thank you so much for the podcast, having me, man. It's love.
We're glad to have you here, fam. So let's get right into it. Just so the viewers know a little bit more about you, you told me you're from Staten Island, New York. Were you born and raised in Staten?
Well, I was born in Manhattan, but I mean, most of my upbringing is Staten Island. So yeah, my upbringing is Staten Island. Gotcha.
So tell me about your first encounter with hip hop. Like, did you, New York is usually like a hotbed for hip hop, where that's like the culture is very, very big there. But like, did you grow up in it? Were you like exposed to it at an early age? Did your parents introduce you to it? Friends, cousins, your uncle? Maybe it was like a personal adventure.
Yeah, so like that whole experience was started from a very, very early age. Like I just remember going to school, and I remember my friends would just be sitting there singing Rough Riders anthem. That was like my first like exposure to like anything hip hop related. Like we was always stop, drop, shut it down, move it up. And I'd be like, yo, what's that song y'all keep singing? And they'd be like, look, DMX, Rough Riders, is that. I'm like, yo, will you hear that music and stuff? And then my man put me on, and then I remember my first time I had a big stereo in my crib, in my room. My parents, brown parents, they just stash everything in your room. It's like storage and stuff like that. So like I had this huge like old school Sony sound system joint, and I remember playing with the tuner, and I ended up getting it on Hot 97, which is a big on New York station and all of that. And then I was hearing all these songs, and I heard Rough Riders. I was like, oh shoot! And then I started singing a lot of Eve records. I remember Eve was really hot at the time. Yeah. So like I'm like a little boy, man. Like I'm not even like, I don't even got an Adam's apple at this point type shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was like my first early exposure to hip hop.
It's crazy because especially in that era, all those rap songs had like a lot of a nursery rhyme feels. Like Rough Riders, even Nelly came in with like a nursery rhyme type of flow with it. So that makes sense, especially getting you in so young.
Yeah.
But so when did you decide that hip hop was for you? Like that's what you wanted to do?
I realized hip hop was for me the first time my man played Changes by Tupac. That was like my first time. Now this is like, we're talking 2 years after now Rough Riders come out. Yeah. My man tells me about, there's this rapper named Tupac, and he's really dope. And he starts telling me his story. My man at the time was like, he's my age, but he was getting all the stories from his older brother. You know what I mean? So he was always trying to pass it down to me as he was getting it. But you could tell, like, as you got older, when I learned about Pac's life, like, he was like, misunderstanding like certain timelines of his life and shit. Like he would mix up like the first quad studio shooting with the last shooting of him, where it took his life and stuff like that. So he played me Changes, and that's when I realized, like, even as a kid, while I might have not understood note for note what he was talking about, I learned that the world is bad, like, it's rough out here. And it opened that window for me to see the world for what it really was. And that inspired me to I want to rap. I was like, I want to rap like that. I want to talk about what's going on in the world and everything and stuff. So that was like my early times. I was like trying to emulate Pac and all of that. Like I'm a little kid and stuff.
So like basically you want to like make a difference with your music inspired by changes. And I think I kind of like remember hearing something in your song Drones where you talked about like unrest in other parts of the world.
Yeah. So that song particularly, like I wanted to talk about, the drones in the sky and stuff like that, and how it affects like life in regular society in like a Middle Eastern country and stuff. And I tried to make it broad, so like all countries can like connect with it in some way, shape, or form.
So like when I listen to your music, there's like numerous Islamic references from your title, from like the titles of your songs to just like lyrics in your music. How would you say that your upbringing or like your background or even like your religion has influenced the way that you approach the music, if at all?
Yeah, I mean, when I was first coming up and everything, you know, as an artist, you always trying to figure out like, what's your voice? What's your lane? And I think that's probably the most difficult hurdle an artist goes through in the developmental stages of his or her career. You really want to find out what's your niche and stuff. What's going to be the thing that when they play Shah Leezy, you already know what you're getting, right? Like if I pick a Drake project, I know more times than none what kind of songs are on a Drake album. It's going to be a pop record. It's going to be a girl record. There's going to be like a rap record where he's going to flex his bars a little bit. You know what you're getting from every signature style artist. So what is your signature style? So for me, it was like, I want to make a lane where there's not nobody that I know, at least, that was really rapping about the things that I was rapping about. Rap about your people, like rap about your upbringing, rap about culture, little cultural references that you feel like people that look like you or from the region that you are, maybe not necessarily y'all have the same exact, ideologies, but y'all can connect in so many ways and stuff. So that's when I started creating this whole idea of like using Islamic references. I remember when I was like a little kid, I used to go to Saturday school to learn how to read and write Farsi, and then there would be like a religious section in the teaching where like we learned how to pray and stuff. So all those little teachings of the Quran and like the story of the prophets and all those little stories I took with me. I remember it and I kept it in me, and then I started like putting it in certain lines here and there, just splashes of it to show like culture and identity and differences.
Because hip hop is a very, very personal experience, and I feel like the artists who are most successful are those who are able to project their life into the music so that people are able to feel them, even if they don't necessarily like relate exactly to, like they've never experienced those same things. Like Kendrick Lamar is like my favorite artist, and even though I have not lived the life he has lived, the emotion and the personalized experience he puts into his music allows me to feel what he's saying. And I feel like that's a mistake that so many artists make, is that a lot of times they just rap and they forget to put what makes them in the music. And I can say when I listened to your music from the get-go, I understood you had a unique voice who had something different to say than like just the average rapper that I've actually listened to. So that's dope.
Another thing about that is, like, a lot of times the kind of music you make, the subjects you're talking about, those are subjects that never die. Like, we can talk about a lot of things in our music. 5 years later down the road, that'll be antiquated and won't matter. Like, when I went to your YouTube, when I went all the way back, the stuff that you were talking about then is still relevant to you, your people, and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't sound dated, per se.
Exactly. So it's a timelessness to the subject matter content.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big fan and believer of making something that ages well with time too, especially as an independent act, as somebody who's on the come up. You want to make not just obviously your best music, but you want to make music where, like, as time moves on and as the platforms get larger and larger, you can re-roll out some of these songs and remind people that, I made this, by the way. And that was something that I learned from Jay-Z, because he did that with Reasonable Doubt, for instance. That was the classic example of what happens when you make a really timeless project, and maybe it didn't get the just due at that particular time, but when you re-roll it out, it's like a huge spark. Like, oh my God, I forgot that you made this. And so I remember that album came out in '96, but nobody cared. I can't say nobody cared, but nobody really was paying attention like that, because everybody was Biggie out or Pac'd out. So it wasn't until '99 when for instance Jay started going commercial, he re-rolled out the whole album and it got its just due, and then it became like this certified it became like known throughout all communities that this is a great project. And that's what he specified in his book Decoded. And I remember reading that, and I said to myself, like, a few years back, I was like, you know, this is very valuable to keep with you. Try to make music that you can always re-roll out and remind people who are just getting to know you.
That's dope. I'm gonna ask you this, because like in the same vein of like creating music that like resonates throughout the ages, throughout the years, do you feel like there's a single song you've made is probably your most important? Like, what do you feel like is your most important song? If you feel like there is a song like that stands above the rest.
Oof. I mean, the people have their picks and stuff. I mean, I love them like my kids and stuff. My personal one, and everybody always says to me, really, that one? And I'm like, yeah, I love that song. Is March 2nd. That's like, that song to me is a song that, you know, it kind of gives you an introduction of like who I am. Like just real, like from the jump, from as soon as the verse drops and stuff, it's very commanding. And I named this song March 2nd after my birthday, and it just gave me, again, like my favorite rapper is Jay-Z. So like, you know, he has a song called December 4th. J. Cole has a record called January 28th. And I feel like when rappers make a song that's dedicated after their birthday, they really go in. It's personal. It's coming from somewhere. And my song March 2nd for me gives me that same kind of vibe.
That's great. That's incredible.
All right.
So
it's on the Halal Music EP, by the way, if you want to hear that song.
I'll make sure to check it out.
So let's talk beans, rice, and lamb. So why did we release it on April 20th?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So there's a couple of things that were going on in the process of making the project. I made a song throughout the process, a song by the name of Halal Kush. So I made the song Halal Kush. Obviously, you know, I like smoking weed, and you know, I wanted to create a weed record that was a signature Shah Leezy sound, but also because, you know, throughout hip hop, we've always had weed records and stuff. Yeah. So I was like, yo, we could make a weed record, but in our version, like my way, the way I would talk about it and stuff. So when I made the song and everything like that, at the end, I started playing with this idea of like this dude who would be like a radio DJ and stuff. So that's why when you hear the song at the end, it's like you just listen to WEED and all this, Sour D and all of this, DJ Sour D's and all of that. So I originally made that song, and then after that, after we finished making all of the songs, I would constantly play this record, and everybody would love it. And when we were compiling up the songs for the project, I said, you know what would be dope? If we had him be kind of like the theme of the whole project and kind of like stretch it out so it's not so redundant, and just like put it in between breaks, like intermissions and stuff. So that's kind of what it was. And then when we finished it, we realized the mood of the whole project changed when we add this little theme. It just kind of like, now it's not just a bunch of records. Now it just sounds like a whole cohesive project being brought together, you know?
So you've mentioned we and our sound a couple of times. Who is Life on My Ave to you, and like, what is y'all relationship?
So Life on My Ave, so this is where I say out. So Life on My Ave is a good friend of mine. We started out in the same studio together when I was interning at recording studios. Av was with another group of people, and they had a room rented out over there, and I was working out of another room. And the original roots of it was we just knew each other from around the way. And then after that studio got shut down, we went our separate ways, but we still stayed in contact through social media. And he started seeing me like being really heavy on the music and just coming out with freestyles, coming out with songs and stuff like that. So he originally just reached out to me on social media and was just like, yo, I see what you're doing. Like, yo, we gotta lock in, we gotta work and all that. I was like, yeah, definitely. Then we ended up crossing paths on the street, just cross, like casual. Like we in the city and we crossed paths, and he stopped me, and then we started talking and stuff. And then he was like, yo, we gotta lock in. So then I decided, okay, yeah, I'm gonna pull up to your crib. So I pulled up to his crib, and then he started playing me all these beats, and I was just going crazy in my mind, like, yo, this is amazing. Yo, we gotta do something. We definitely gonna work and stuff. So that was like the origins of that. And then he started coming to my crib, And we started making beats right then and there. Like he would come out with all these samples and I'd be like, yo, that one right there. And then he would start cooking it up and I'd be like, yo, fix this. And then I'm just like, start thinking of bars in my head and stuff. So, I mean, the chemistry there was clicking immediately. Like he had the sound and I had the kind of sound that we both had the same style and sound that we were both interested in, and we locked in.
So this is not a partnership that started with this EP. He was actually involved on the last album too.
No, he wasn't involved on the last album, but he was. That was just more of like, that was my doing, and then also just working with various different producers. Gotcha. This project was just specifically he and I. And then like as we started going deeper and deeper into the project, we're like, yo, you know, it would be dope if, like, you know, since you producing it, we could just, it'd be like on some Watch the Throne kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Or like or if you take it further back, like a Eric B, Rakim kind of situation. Yeah. Eric B laid the beat, Rakim spit the bars type shit. So that was also the idea. And then I was like, yo, we both promote each other too. So it's like, you know, if people know you, now they gonna know me. If people know me, they gonna know about you. So
as works. You can see from this interview, because now we can't talk about you without talking about him when it comes to this project. That's so true, and that's dope. Yeah. Like we don't really get those kind of projects anymore. We kind of get them a little bit more, like when like Big Sean did that one tape with Metro Boomin. But we do get I think that's one of the cooler things about hip hop is when you have the artists and the single producer / DJ, because then it creates a more cohesive project. So it doesn't sound like the rappers like all over the place. It gives the artist a stable ground to work with. Like you said, a sound. And I think his sound does mesh well with you. For sure.
Definitely.
All right, so Beans, Rice, and Lamb is a 6-track EP. Is there something bigger coming? Is it leading to something?
I mean, it's gonna be more music on the way, man. I'm conceptualizing the next project already, and we're already getting in the works of shooting another music video. I got a music video coming out this week, and just still working, nothing stopping.
So like between Alicia's Jam, For the Sisters, Ambitious Girl, you seem to be very appreciative of women in your music. Where does that need to express that in your music come from?
Oh man, that's definitely just being able to show that reach and that versatility as an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like every great artist should be able to show the reach that they have. Meaning like you don't have to make like whatever is on the radio or particularly like a certain kind of girl record. You could make a girl record in your style, in your version. You know what I'm saying? Like do what I always tell artists, do what's comfortable in your own skin. You know what I mean? You don't got it. If that's not you and stuff, you know? Or if you can act it out, then you better be a great actor. You know what I mean? Like you really gotta paint that picture. So, you know, those kind of records I like because it's my way of just showing, you know, that I can make a girl record too, and I can make it sound dope in my own way. So.
Yeah. Like I said, go ahead, Delon.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I was about to say, like, I really like Alicia's Jam, for so to speak. Like when I listened to your other album before this one, it was like my favorite song on there, and I was like, okay, this guy's smooth as hell. And like I could tell this is obviously a song geared towards the women, but at the same time, like you said, I could tell that it's not necessarily a what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's not like just any typical girl record where guys like all trying to like sing and be like mad melodic and trying to croon and stuff like that. No, you did it your way, and I thought that was dope. To see your take on it, like the female record, love record.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it's a mature approach too, and it's also like it's talking geared more towards like people who are in relationships with their ladies and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like we highlight that enough. You know, I feel like everybody wants to be the man. Everybody wants to have like 20 girls on their arms. I mean, that's cool. That's what you do, but a lot of y'all got girlfriends. A lot of y'all are in big relationships and stuff. So I try to touch on certain topics in the song that a lot of men and women can really relate to, or whether it be like arguments over little petty stuff. You know what I mean? Draws on the floor and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
You know, I got you.
Stop and just kind of exactly. Kind of people sit there and chuckle a little bit, like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So your music videos dating back to 3 years ago are vastly different than the ones now. So where do you find inspiration behind the music videos now? Because there's definitely been a step up in production, and it seems like inspiration in them.
Oh, absolutely. Like that's part of the journey to me as far as like artistry goes, right? It's like a pie chart. So you kind of like you see like where you're excelling in, what you need to put more emphasis on and stuff. So like when you see, I love to keep all my videos so like you can actually see where we started and stuff and how I was a novice at it basically, you know, when it came to like the video process of it, you know. But then as you develop more and more, you start having ideas. You're like, because when you first starting out, you have a lot of ideas, but you don't know how to implement the ideas in your music videos. You're like, yo, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get people to be in the video and stuff like that? You know what I mean? It's a lot of pressure when you first starting out and creating that. But as time goes on and you start talking to other creatives, you start seeing how other people do things, you're like, oh, wait, I can create this feeling without having to have a $20,000-$30,000 budget. I can do this, or I can go rent out space over there and get lights. Now I'm in the lighting business now. I got to think about what kind of lighting I need over here. I got to think, oh, I want a smoke effect. All right, how am I going to do that? All right, oh, I need a smoke machine. All right, well, I bought a smoke machine. Oh, I need a backdrop now. Okay, well, how much is the backdrop? Oh, you can get a black one. We can get a green screen one. We can get a white one. So now you're in the video making business and stuff. But then when it finally starts coming together, you start seeing like music videos like I did with Freedom or Alicia's Jam and stuff. And then you start seeing like small artistic concepts and you see the details that are behind all of that stuff.
That Alicia's Jam video looks like you have you have a major label studio buzz on that. So.
Exactly. And it's really not. But and that's what somebody told me. They were like, yo, you don't need to have a big budget to shoot these music videos. And then you start seeing some of these music videos that are blowing up and you're like, wait a minute. You find out, oh, I shot this with my iPhone, for instance. You know, like Chief Keef's record went viral and he was on house arrest and he shot it all under his iPhone. You know what I mean? So when you start factoring in all of these things, you're like, yo, these guys are creating an imagery and stuff with some of the most basic technology. What are we doing? What's there to talk about? You know what I mean? Get busy, get creative.
It's more about the know-how and things like that. Like even like doing this podcast thing, a lot of people tell me they think the things that we do here is like very, very hard. And I said, not really. I should think the same things. You think it's like very hard. Like, oh man, how do I put a podcast together? Or how do I get like 4 to 5 people on? How do I get people from different areas like you right now, and like Delon, me and him are even in the same place right now. How do we get all these people in the same place to have a conversation? But a lot of times it's just sitting down, you know, going through the process. And as I've started this podcast 2 years ago, I picked up a lot of different things that led me up to this point to be able to put this product that we have out now. So I feel it sounds like you gained a lot of useful skills during this time, like in terms of like learning how to put a video together. You know, probably stuff you didn't think you were going to learn how to do when you decided I'm going to be a rapper.
Exactly. And that's where it falls under business, right? Like when you go into business, a lot of artists don't realize you are automatically, when you decide you want to do this, you sign on as CEO of your own imprint of what you are. So once you become the CEO, right, you maybe not be an expert in all these subfields, but you have a certain degree of understanding, or you better have a certain degree of understanding of everything. So like I would say, like, for me, I'm not Quentin Tarantino, but I understand what it takes to make a music video. Yeah. I'm not Pharrell or something with a beat, but I know how to put a beat together. I made my own beats before, and I could be in a room with a producer and tell them what's missing and what needs to be fixed. You know what I'm saying? The engineering, the writing aspect of it. So as the nucleus of your brand, you have to be willing to sacrifice your time and your energy in noting not just the stuff that you're into, but also the other stuff that is involved in the whole music making process.
And I think that goes back to what we talked about earlier about making like personalized music, like putting your imprint on the music. By having an understanding of how to make a beat, how to do the lighting, you're able to put your personalized, your ideas, you know, put your imprint on the music, on the production, on the music video, like it's all Shah Leezy, even if you didn't necessarily make the beat, even though you didn't necessarily executive produce the music video. And that kind of makes me think of Kendrick Lamar, and like how it was I can't remember which producer it was talking to him, doing an interview, and it's like, yeah, working with Kendrick Lamar is it's a cool process because he knows how to make a beat. And so I was in the studio and I was making a beat, and he was like going and say, hey, can I change this, or can I adjust this, or can I try this, so that I could create the beat in the exact image that he wanted. But if that was like a producer who knew nothing about, if that was a guy who knew nothing about, making beats, he kind of just sitting there, and he's kind of got to just take whatever the producer gives him. But like someone like yourself can actually have some real input that the producer can play off of. And that's dope. That's great.
Exactly. And understanding the language too, because there's language to all of these different subfields, right? Like if I'm talking to the producer, we're speaking in a certain producer lingo that's going to get whatever the kind of sound that I want is going to come out of it. You know what I mean? That you're only going to get that with time, experience, and just sitting there. Like I said, I interned at a recording studios. I learned how to track out vocals. I learned how to mix. So all of those things helped me along the process. Once you learn how to engineer, producing is right around the corner. Beat making is right around the corner. If you know how to do one, you're going to know how to do the other one.
So if you call yourself like the CEO of like your music, and like that's a good analogy to use, do you have like a fixed team that every time you go into a project, like when you went into a project with Life on My Ave, and like even like a project before that, did you have like a certain group of people that were like in the room working with you, or that you consulted like on every project, or is it like just case by case situation?
Well, I mean, every project that I do is pretty much, I mean, as far as team goes, it's me. My lady's the one who's my photographer. Word. She's also the one that holds the camera and stuff. So we collaborate a lot on just the music video aspect of it, the visual aspect of it. We always working because she's a creative too. So we working on stuff. I'm recording the joints. As far as producers go, like if I see you at an event, if I build with you, you see me perform and stuff like that, I work a lot. So like with producers, I like to collaborate with a lot of them, and I bring them in there, and and I show them already what I got, and they automatically could tell the kind of like signature sound that I got. So it's like, it's very consistent.
Gotcha.
You just mentioned you performed. Can you tell us about your first performance? That's always a hilarious story in some kind of way.
Oh, my first performance? Like,
yeah.
All right, so my first performance, I remember, okay, when we say first performance, you mean first time like as a kid, or you talk about just like professional, like on a
first time as an act?
As an act, my first show I remember I did was at Webster Hall. I remember it was Jay Hatch's event, and Jay Hatch used to have this thing called like Get Your Buzz Up or something like that. It was like a showcase kind of thing. Yeah. And I remember they sent me an email. I don't know how they got my email, and they was like, send me a song. I'm only picking X amount of artists or whatever, right? So I go and I start. This is before I even had my voice, what kind of rapper I wanted to be. I just had like a compilation of a couple of songs that I worked out of in the studio, and I sent it to him. And then like a couple weeks later, I get this whole congratulations, you've been selected. It's only like 25 people I selected, and you were one of them. You know what I mean? And the whole email, I wish I had the email. He made it sound like it was life or death. Like he made it sound like this was my moment. This is my moment. This is your first welcome to the music industry moment, right? So I'm like, oh my God, So I remember like, I had to pay to get on the stage and stuff. So that was like my first, you got to pay to get on stage, and then you get like a bunch of tickets, and you got to sell these tickets. You know what I mean? I didn't end up selling many tickets, obviously. I had a couple of close friends that were like, I'll support you and all of this stuff. So, we all went there. So I get up on stage. I remember I had no breath control. I remember like, it's hard, and I'm doing like 2-3 songs, and I'm trying to like catch my breath. I remember I'm sweating in front of everybody and things, but I went through the song. I didn't stumble or anything, but you could definitely tell I'm trying to catch my breath. And this was also before the era where like the digital was really taking over. like that.
Yeah.
This is early 2010s. This is early 2010s. So I still had like pressed CDs. I went to Staples. I learned how to press my own CD. I had a little light photo shoot at the time, and like I just took all of this and I printed everything out. And I was living in the city at the time, and I remember I pressed it up. I had like 10 in my backpack and shit, and I just remember like giving it out to people coming up to me at the end. But that was like a very big learning experience from there. Just like, and then I started doing shows after that, and I started learning how to really perform. And I would see, you start to see after a while, like people performing, like you could tell who's like good and like who's amateur and who just started out. So I would go to these shows and keep performing, and I would watch the people that were better than me, and I would take little things from them. And like, oh, okay, I see he controls the crowd. Right? This is how he controls the crowd. Okay, oh, he tells people to stand up. Okay, cool. He tells people to chant and stuff. So I was like, so then I would take that home with me, and then I would like listen to my own songs, and I would like, oh, next time I'm gonna do a show, I'm gonna tell the crowd to do this, or you know what, I'm gonna jump on that table over there and stuff. So that was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then, you know, after a while, I started doing all of adding these things to my repertoire, and then people would be like, oh, like, you know, he's on a chair, he's on a table, he's doing this, like, yo, this kid is crazy, like, you know what I mean? And then I ended up loving performing more and more and more stuff.
That's cool.
It's one of those things where you gotta have the courage to take that chance. Because the first time, like, and what happens if I stay on the table and nobody reacts? So, like,
you can't care. You can't care. You cannot care. And that's another thing too when it comes to the performance game. Like sometimes you're gonna have a great crowd, sometimes the crowd don't get it or whatever. You cannot care. You have to lock in, you have to do what you have to do. It don't matter. When you start thinking about what everyone else thinks, you get the deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
You get the deer in the headlights, and now it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. They don't like it. Like, nah, fuck that. Keep going.
Yeah, otherwise you end up getting embarrassed when you like, you know, you get the deer in the headlights, you start walking up stage, you don't look confident anymore. And like as a rapper, the most important thing in your music is confidence. And if people see you're not confident, then you kind of look kind of whack. And it kind of makes me think of it kind of makes me think of like when Drake was at the Tyler Creator fair, and like they were booing him, and like he was being a professional, and he was going on with the performance and was actually like trying to finish. And eventually he did leave stage, but the most important thing was that shows you how you can sometimes you can feed off the crowd and use that positive energy to make your performance better. But when the crowd isn't there, you still need to perform as if they are.
Yeah, and that just comes to show you too. It don't matter what level you at in this game. There's always going to be moments like this. I've seen big acts get booed off stage before. I've seen big acts like have bad shows sometimes. It's very normal and it happens, but it's also very important too, like as a up and coming artist too, to see all of those moments and take that into consideration and never let them see you sweat like that.
I think I was going to ask you a question about the Knicks. I think, Delon, do you have any more music questions?
Yeah, I do. So first, the earliest song I found was Leezy's Theory. What would you say is the biggest change in your style from then to now?
My biggest change from then, oh man. Well, definitely the sound, the production got bigger. That's for sure. The production got bigger. I think the quality in the records got bigger. You know what I'm saying? That song particularly, that was on a Mobb Deep beat actually that I was rapping on. And that song was really the cornerstone of the beginning of like what you were about to witness into the future and stuff.
So, you know, what we do here on Pop the Man, we also talk about basketball a little bit. So you told me your favorite team is the New York Knicks, and the New York Knicks is generally synonymous with sadness when it comes to the NBA. It's a whole lot of bad. We could sit here and talk about the bad in the past couple of decades with them, but instead of doing that, I'd rather ask you, what do you think that the Knicks need to do going forward? Because like right now, I think I saw a report sometime during quarantine. It was like the Knicks are confident they can trade for a disgruntled star rather than hoping for the next disgruntled star or hoping for a max free agent like a Kevin Durant, like become free agent again and then join. What do you want the most from the New York Knicks going forward?
I mean, I think the best thing is building talent within. And I mean, I figured that I understand that there's a challenge with that too, because seems like we're never really lucky per se when it comes to the draft as well, because we're always either a pick or two away from the guy that we really want, or, you know, there'll be like a last minute disappointment a la Steph Curry when, you know, he was like 2 picks away from us. Golden State takes him when they didn't even need him. Or, you know, fast forward this draft, we won Zion. Last draft, we wanted Zion Williamson. We're like 2 picks away from Zion Williamson. And then it's Jay Morant, and then we end up with RJ, which, you know, I don't have a problem with RJ, but I think, you know, Zion has been pretty good, like as far as what he's been doing, as far as an impact and just going, watching that game with him and LeBron, like it just lets me know it's kind of like a torch getting passed. Yeah, or about to be passed and stuff. But as far as what the Knicks need to be doing, man, I just feel like they have to do a way better job at like finding home talent, drafting. You have to draft through, because nobody wants to come here. Nobody really wants to come here. Like, it don't matter how much money we have. None of that stuff seems to matter to them. And you can't talk about, oh, this is the Mecca. We can't talk about, oh, the history or the marketing dollars, because if they want the marketing dollars, they'll go to Brooklyn. They'll go right across the bridge and they'll go to Brooklyn. And Brooklyn over there right now, they've been able to create a product where they can go into the playoffs. They can always compete, and we can't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So they'll take a max contract in Brooklyn, and they'll have a chance to go into the finals over like with the Knicks, where it's like you never know what you're ever really going to get with the Knicks, whether it's a front office issue. We haven't really done a good job at assembling pieces together here. You know what I mean? I just get frustrated when I talk about it. You know what I mean?
I can feel it like radiating off of you.
Tell you, like, yo, we had Melo, and we couldn't even get it together with Melo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we tried, you know, with Amari and stuff like that, but we couldn't even get it right with them. Like, you already knew what it was.
It needs to be a change of guard, first and foremost, I think, at the top. You know, everybody says James Dolan needs to go. Most definitely needs to go. But even if he doesn't go, we need, like, just better GMs and, like, recruiters in terms of people who can build talent. Because I remember, like, when Donald Sterling, because I'm a Clippers fan, I remember Donald Sterling was the owner of the Clippers. The Clippers were able to see some mild success because we ended up having more competent people, at least below him. So I feel like the Knicks got to do that at the very least if you can't get rid of James Dolan. But like,
man, can we get him in a scandal or something like that, man? Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy because it's like, yo, no matter what we do, we bring in Phil Jackson. This guy won like 11 rings. We're like, yo, Phil gonna save us. Can't save us. We bring in D'Antoni. Oh, he was great on the Suns. Yo, he's gonna help us out. Can't do it. Like, we bring in Donnie Walsh. Helped us. He got us a couple of pieces here and there. You know, he was actually decent. Let him go. It's like, damn, man, we bring all these great guys. Steve Mills comes in. We bring all these guys with like good resumes, solid resumes. They can't do it. Fizdale comes in from the Miami staff. Can't get it done. Like, bro, what's going on, dog? Like, we just running through all these talented guys with resumes and they still can't get it done. What am I missing?
It's because one person cannot change the world. And I think the Knicks too often try to put all their eggs in one basket. And then when they get that one guy, like a Phil Jackson or like a Dave Fizdale, they stop right there. It's like, okay, we don't have to make any more changes. This one person is going to reverse all the bad shit we got going on within the organization, and we don't have to do anything else. They'll fix everything on their own. And that's the problem. The Knicks fail, whoever they bring in, by not continuing to put more smart people around them, and they leave that one person on the island, and they wait for them to fuck up.
And then, bro, and then the contracts, yo, they be signing people, and they're just like, the contracts are horrible, man. I'll be like, yo, word, you signed him for 72? Who was the dude that was we signed like a couple years back too? It was a point guard. I think he ended up being on the Hawks. Forgot his name.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I'm not sure.
They gave him, man. It slipped my mind.
This decade, this past decade, point guard. They gave a lot of money to. I do not remember. I'll be honest. Granted, Granted, I have not been watching the Knicks that closely in the past 5 years, so they could easily sign somebody terrible, and I just didn't know. But
yeah, they just overpaying for people, and I'm like, yo, we could have just got this guy for this kind of money. Like,
yeah. So let me ask you this: so, what young player are you excited about that's on the Knicks right now? Because, like you said, I do think homegrown talent is the most important thing you can do in a team like this. Because at the very least, if you build a young, promising squad, you could do what the Lakers did and trade them all for Anthony Davis. Or, you might end up having them all bud together and become a dominant force, kind of like what the Warriors did.
yeah, or you just give people a reason, like free agents, a reason to want to come on your team. You know what I'm saying?
Like the Nets.
Exactly. Like, yo, these guys are scrappy. They got the 8th seed. You know what I mean? They just barely made it. Yo, they just need a little extra push. I can go over there for a max contract and stuff. Mm-hmm. But, man, when you only win in 20 games, it's like it's hard to convince a Kevin Durant that, yo, he can get a championship over here. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys want championships, man. They're getting money. They're getting money. They're getting a lot of money. It's not just about the money. We keep confusing it and thinking, oh, it's a max contract. No, they getting a lot of money. A lot of these new dudes want to stockpile on championships. They want super teams and they want to get championships, period. You know what I mean? Not going to be able to do that with 20 wins. So, But to answer your question, the one Knick that I really like right now is Mitchell Robinson. That's my guy.
Okay, yes, Mitchell Robinson.
That's my guy right now. I like him. I think honestly, on any other team, he could end up being a really good player. Like really, like quality, really good quality player. Like he's a great defensive player. He gets blocks, he even gets steals for a big man. Like that's crazy. That's kind of weird and stuff. And then I feel like his offensive game is getting better. So I like Mitchell Robinson a lot.
I wanted him. I can't remember what year he was drafted, but it was a year. I think it was actually the year we had 2 picks, and we ended up taking Jerome Robinson because we had Shah and Jerome Robinson. I think Mitchell was in that same draft, and I was like seeing like a bunch of draft analysts were talking about Mitchell Robinson. I can't remember why. I don't think he played college or something like that. I think he didn't play in the college, so his draft stock ended up falling. And I was thinking like, center that can get a bunch of blocks and steals and play defense. I'm like, that's perfect for the Clippers. That's like I wish we had taken him, but yeah, he's a very talented young player. Like something that other players could look forward to be like playing alongside him if you
exactly. That's somebody like if you get yourself a real deal like star in the making, like they're gonna have fun with each other. Like,
but what do you think about Frank? What do you think about Frank?
Oh my god. This is like every great New York Knicks fan debate. You either got pro Frank or anti Frank. Like,
so what camp are you in?
Here's what I think about Frank. I think that he's a very good role player point guard. Like he's a guy come off the bench. I don't know if he can't. I don't want him to give him 25 minutes or something like that. That's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? I think he's a good defender. I think he's a guy like, for instance, right? If the Knicks get in a situation where they got a top 3 pick and like if we can get like a LaMelo Ball or something like that, and then just have Frank like come in like as the backup, that'd be cool off the bench. I think he can give you some quality. But no, Knicks fans be going crazy on Frank. Like,
because I think you're right. I think he's miscast. Like he's not really a starting point guard because his inability to score, but he's serviceable off the bench where he can come in, guard multiple positions. He can make some great passes and reads, but you don't want your starting point guard that can't shoot. Not in today's NBA. That's his problem. Unless he learn how to shoot, that's it.
Yeah, man. Like he just gives me like George Hill vibes and stuff when he
early George Hill. Stuff. Yeah.
I'd rather be Frank in New York than Dennis.
Yeah.
Well, what's your team? You got a team in basketball?
Yes, sir. Timberwolves. We
like
getting there. We getting there.
A lot of pain.
I like your team, man.
There's a lot of pain and suffering on this podcast.
Yeah, we gonna do it.
Clippers, Timberwolves, and Knicks.
Yeah, no, but I actually like the Timberwolves squad. They got a nice little squad on the low.
Yeah,
I like them after that trade for sure.
Man, that Beasley trade was the difference, man. Also, thank God. Also, the guard y'all think about was Tim Hardaway Jr.
That's the guy. Yes, that's the guy. Yeah, we signed him for a $72 million deal. Like, that was crazy. And like, I've watched him play, and I was like, you're not that good. I mean, come on.
71 mil.
And that was like a good summer free agency. That was a good summer free agency. And the first pick they do, the first signing they make is him. I was like, oh, what?
See, hey, that's what the Knicks do. If they miss out on 1, 2, and 3, they're like, all right, hey, 50, we giving you them bag because they got to give it to somebody.
Yeah.
But see, I think that's what the Knicks do. They like overreact and they're like, we got to give it to somebody. You don't have to give it to somebody.
I mean,
like, you don't have to.
The Heat, that money where they gave out a lot of stupid contracts, it was pretty short-term contracts. Like they gave Tyler Johnson like 2 years. The Knicks are going to give you 4 years, like 18 million.
Player option.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's why, like, that, in one sense, a certain tier of players, they like going to the Knicks because of that. Some of them, I said a certain tier. If you want to cash out, you come to the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? You make a lot of money. You might win 30 games. You might not. But what do you care? Like,
in New York, yeah, that's exactly. what Julius Randle, Bobby Portis, Taj Gibson, all of them cash in. All power forwards. They're like, man, they signed the power forwards. Hope it ain't too late for me. And it wasn't too late. They signed them too.
It's true. It's true.
Oh man. All right, Shah. That's all the questions I have. Delon, you have any closing thoughts?
No, sir. I'm good.
All right, Shah. We appreciate you having you on, man. Like I said, we're avid fans of you now. Whenever you need something, let us know. If you're listening right now, make sure you check out Shah's project, Lambs, Beans, and Rice. I think I said that backwards. But
Beans, rice, and lamb.
Beans, rice, and lamb. I don't know what happened to me. Beans, rice, and lamb. Make sure you guys check it out.
BRL.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for tuning into the episode of the Popular Man Podcast. Tune in next week for another episode of your favorite podcast. See you then.